Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, Coin Hunters and Collectors. You're about to hear the story of a coin so small and ordinary, most people never give it a second glance. But today, you'll learn why this little copper beauty might just be one of the biggest surprises hiding in your change jar. We're talking about the United States Lincoln 1-cent penny from 1966, a coin that most people would never expect to be worth anything more than a single cent. It's brown. It's beat up. It's been through thousands of hands. But some versions of this penny are turning heads in the collecting world, and for good reason. Now, let's set the stage. 1966 was a unique year for American coinage. Just 1 year after the U.S. Mint stopped producing silver coins for regular circulation, the country was adjusting to new coin compositions and an overwhelming demand for small denominations. As a result, minting facilities were cranking out coins at an incredible pace, and with that speed came mistakes. The 1966 penny features the classic Lincoln design introduced in 1909. On the front, you've got the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right, with the words, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," on the left, and the date, 1966, to the right. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, with the inscription, "United States of America," across the top and "E Pluribus Unum" above the iconic monument. And at the bottom, of course, 1 cent. So what could possibly make this everyday coin worth anything more than face value? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and errors, the holy trinity of coin collecting. First, let's talk mint marks, or rather, the lack of one. In 1965, 1966, and 1967, the U.S. Mint decided to omit mint marks altogether to discourage coin hoarding during a national coin shortage. That means all 1966 pennies, regardless of where they were struck, bear no mint mark. This alone doesn't make them rare, but it adds a layer of mystery for collectors trying to trace a coin's origins. But the real story begins with mint errors, because in 1966, the rush to meet public demand led to some major slip-ups. And those slip-ups are now worth serious money. Some 1966 pennies were struck on foreign planchets, blanks intended for coins of other countries. These coins are usually the wrong weight, wrong color, and sometimes slightly smaller or larger than a standard penny. They're instantly recognizable to experts and highly prized in the collecting world. Then there are double die errors, which happen when the coin is struck twice by the same die, but slightly off angle. This creates a doubling effect, most visible in the date, the lettering of "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." These coins are extremely rare, and extremely valuable. Collectors have also discovered off-center strikes, where the coin's design is printed off the edge, leaving a blank crescent on one side. The more off-center the strike, without cutting off Lincoln's profile, the more collectible the coin becomes. Other notable errors include die cracks, clipped planchets, and struck through grease, each one a unique and unintentional feature that turns a common coin into a one-of-a-kind piece. But of course, none of these errors would matter without condition. Most pennies from 1966 were tossed in pockets, dropped in vending machines, or buried at the bottom of a drawer. They're scratched, discolored, and worn down from decades of use. But every now and then, a coin surfaces that was preserved perfectly, never circulated, never touched, with its details crisp and flawless. These high-grade specimens, when combined with a rare error, can become incredibly valuable, especially when they're professionally graded by a top-tier service like PCGS or NGC. And here's the part that gets collectors' hearts racing. Most people have no idea these coins are worth anything at all. That means the right 1966 penny might be hiding in plain sight, stuck to the bottom of a piggy bank, resting in an old coin folder, or tucked away in a forgotten envelope from decades ago. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just about age. It's not just about design. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the joy of finding a diamond in the rough, a mistake that became a masterpiece, and a story that no one else noticed. So, if you've got any old pennies lying around, now's the time to take a closer look. Examine the date. Look at the letters. Check the weight if you can. Because you never know when that little copper coin could be the one everyone's been searching for. And now for the moment you've been waiting for. If you come across a 1966 Lincoln penny with a rare mint error, preserved in exceptional condition, and verified by a professional grading company, it could be worth up to $52,000. Yes. A coin that once sat unnoticed in someone's pocket could now be worth more than a brand new luxury car. So don't overlook those tiny treasures, they just might be hiding the biggest surprises. Today's story will have you rethinking every single 1-cent piece you've ever held. Because in this video, we're taking a closer look at a coin that might be sitting right under your nose, a penny that looks completely ordinary, but could actually be worth thousands. Let's talk about the 1967 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a small copper disc that could hold a very big secret. Now, at first glance, the 1967 penny seems like nothing special. It doesn't have silver. It doesn't have a mint mark. And it's not from some iconic, early year in US coin history. But here's where it gets interesting, because sometimes, the most common-looking coins are the ones with the most uncommon stories. So, what's the deal with the 1967 penny? Why are collectors suddenly paying more attention to it? Let's rewind to the late 1960s. America was in a whirlwind of change. Protests, cultural revolutions, space exploration, it was a time of rapid transformation. And even the US Mint wasn't immune to the chaos. In fact, from 1965 to 1967, the Mint made a significant decision to remove all mint marks from coins. Why? To stop collectors from hoarding coins based on mint location during a national coin shortage. That means every single 1967 penny, whether it was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, bears no mint mark at all. It's one of the few years in US history where you literally can't tell where your coin came from just by looking at it. But the real magic behind the 1967 Lincoln cent lies in the errors, those beautiful, unintentional flaws that can turn a simple coin into a highly desirable collectible. One of the most sought-after types of 1967 penny is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice by the same die, but slightly misaligned. The result? Doubling in the letters of Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the date, 1967. It's subtle, but unmistakable once you know how to spot it. These double-die coins are incredibly rare and bring in serious interest from collectors. Another exciting error is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing the image to shift off the center. Some are just a little off, but others? They're dramatically misaligned, creating crescent-shaped blanks where part of the design is missing. The more off-center it is, while still showing Lincoln's portrait, the higher the value. Then there's the clipped planchet error, where a small piece of the coin's edge is literally missing because the blank was miscut. And don't forget struck-through grease errors, which happen when debris or lubricant interferes with the die, leaving unusual smudges or missing design elements. Some 1967 pennies were even struck on the wrong metal planchet, such as the leftover blanks from foreign coins or earlier compositions. If your penny has an odd color or seems lighter or heavier than usual, you might be holding something truly rare, but rarity alone doesn't determine value. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. Most 1967 pennies have seen heavy circulation. They've passed through pockets, purses, vending machines, and cash registers for decades. They've been scratched, worn down, and tossed aside. But a few? A very lucky few were pulled from circulation early or preserved in sealed coin sets, remaining in nearly perfect condition for over half a century. These top-grade coins, especially those with dramatic errors, have been authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC and placed into the highest mint state categories, MS 65, MS 66, even MS 67. And those are the coins that turn heads at auctions. You see, to the average person, a 1967 penny is just a piece of copper. But to the trained eye of a collector, it's a chance to uncover a treasure. It's the thrill of flipping over a coin and spotting something off, an error, a rare strike, or an exceptional condition that most people overlook. And the best part? These coins are still out there. In old jars. Forgotten piggy banks. Inherited collections. Or even mixed into a roll of pennies from your local bank. Every single 1-cent coin you check brings the possibility of a life-changing discovery. So now, the question you've been waiting for: what's the potential value of one of these rare, high-grade, error-filled 1967 Lincoln pennies? Well, if you're lucky enough to find a 1967 penny in near-perfect condition, with a verified mint error and a top-tier grade, it could be worth up to $50,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single cent, worth more than most people make in a year. So don't underestimate the power of the penny. Especially not this one. Check your change, dig through your collection, and keep your eyes open. You never know what history, and value, might be hiding in your hand. Today, we're diving into the world of 1971 Lincoln pennies, a seemingly simple coin, but one that could be hiding a surprising amount of value. Most people wouldn't think twice about tossing a 1971 penny into a jar or just passing it along in their change. But what if I told you that this penny might be worth a whole lot more than you think? Now, before we get to the shocking value of this coin, let's talk a little bit about the history of the 1971 Lincoln penny. By the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint was making some significant changes to its coinage. In 1965, the Mint made the decision to stop producing silver coins for circulation, and by 1971, all the circulating pennies were composed of copper-plated zinc. The year 1971 was significant because it marked the first time that the 1971 Lincoln cent was minted in this new composition, but here's the kicker: the 1971 penny has a story to tell, especially when it comes to the errors that show up in certain coins from this year. Let's dive into why these errors make this coin worth way more than face value and what you need to look out for when checking your stash of pennies. First, one of the most sought-after errors in the 1971 penny is the double die error. This error occurs when the die strikes the coin multiple times in slightly misaligned positions, causing the features of the coin to appear doubled. In the case of the 1971 Lincoln penny, collectors often find doubled letters or numbers in the inscription "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," or even in the date, 1971. These subtle imperfections are highly prized by collectors because they represent a piece of coin history, a product of a momentary mistake that turns into a rare treasure. Another error to watch for is an off-center strike. If the penny was not properly aligned when it was struck, the design could appear shifted to one side. In some cases, the design is dramatically off-center, leaving a large portion of the coin blank. These off-center coins are incredibly rare and extremely desirable to collectors because they are a unique visual oddity that can't be reproduced. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value. Additionally, keep your eyes peeled for clipped planchets. A clipped planchet happens when a coin is struck from a blank that wasn't properly punched from the metal sheet, leaving part of the coin missing on the edge. This creates a visually distinct bite in the coin, and clipped planchets are highly sought after because they are a rare example of a mistake that makes a coin stand out from the rest. But errors aren't the only thing that can make a 1971 penny valuable. Condition is key. Most pennies from 1971 have been through decades of circulation, which means they are often heavily worn, scratched, and dinged up. However, if you happen to find a high-grade 1971 penny, one that has been carefully preserved or kept in excellent condition, it could be worth much more than you think. Coins that are in mint state, with no scratches, no discoloration, and minimal wear, are highly prized by collectors. The 1971's mint-mark version of the penny is also another area to focus on. While most of these coins were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, some pennies were struck at the San Francisco Mint, and collectors are particularly keen on finding a well-preserved 1971's penny. If you have one, it could be worth even more depending on its condition. So, why is this penny, this simple, almost forgotten piece of copper, worth so much? Well, it's not just about the year, it's about the rarity of finding a penny from 1971 in good condition or, better yet, one with an error. Errors like double die, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets don't happen every day, and finding one of these coins in great shape is incredibly rare. These small mistakes, combined with the passage of time, transform a regular penny into a rare collectible. When a coin is this rare and desirable, it drives the market value up significantly. Now, are you ready to know how much a rare, high-grade, error-free 1971 Lincoln penny could be worth. If you have one of these rare gems in your collection, it could be worth up to $43,000, yes, you heard that right. $43,000 for a 1-cent coin. Imagine holding a penny that could put you in the position to make a major windfall. So, next time you're going through your spare change or digging through old coin rolls, remember that something as small as a 1971 penny could be hiding a big treasure. Today, we're diving deep into a seemingly simple, everyday coin, the 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it might look like just another penny you'd find in your pocket, but trust me, this coin has a hidden story that could make your jaw drop. Let's start with some basics. The 1960 Lincoln penny is not the rarest coin in history. It's not made of precious metals like gold or silver. But there's something about this penny that collectors absolutely can't get enough of. It's all about the rarity of certain variations, the minting errors, and the condition of the coin. A 1960 penny could be worth much more than face value, and in some cases, it could be worth a small fortune. So why is the 1960 Lincoln penny so special? Let's go back in time for a moment to the year 1960. The United States was experiencing a time of change. The economy was booming, and there was a huge shift in the way people interacted with their money. New designs were being minted, and this year was no exception. The 1960 penny still featured the beloved image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, but it was during this time that the U.S. Mint started producing some very interesting and rare variations. One of the most intriguing features of the 1960 penny is the presence of two different styles of minting. Yes, you heard that right, two distinct versions of the 1960 penny were produced in that single year. This is what gives this penny its collector appeal. You have the regular 1960 penny with no mint mark, and then you have the 1960 D penny, which was minted in Denver. But here's where it gets more interesting: some of these pennies from 1960 were produced with a double die error. Now, what exactly does that mean? A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly, resulting in the design being stamped twice. This creates a noticeable doubling effect. You'll see the numbers, letters, and details of the coin appearing in a ghost form. These double die errors are highly sought after because they are unique and show a very rare mistake in the minting process. Another error that collectors are after is the small date versus large date variation. The 1960 penny is one of the most famous examples of this difference. The small date version has a smaller, more compact 1960 compared to the large date version, where the 1960 is more spaced out. The small date version is much rarer and, because of this, it's the one that commands a higher price in the collector's market. But wait, there's more. The 1960 penny also has a very interesting story with its mint mark. Many of these pennies were minted in Philadelphia, which is why you'll often find a plain 1960 penny without a mint mark. However, the 1960 D pennies, minted in Denver, hold a special place in the hearts of collectors. The D mint mark is small and often difficult to notice, but once you know what to look for, you can start spotting these rare pieces among your change. In addition to the mint mark variations, there's also the condition of the penny that plays a huge role in its value. Most 1960 pennies have been circulated for decades, which means they've gone through a lot of wear and tear. However, if you happen to find a well-preserved penny, particularly one with a double die error or a small date variation, the value skyrockets. High-grade coins, especially those graded MS-65 or higher, are extremely desirable among collectors, as they offer a glimpse of history in nearly perfect condition. And here's the best part: the value of a 1960 Lincoln penny can be significantly higher than you might think. If you're lucky enough to find a double die small date penny in exceptional condition, it could be worth up to $57,000. Yes, you heard me right, $57,000 for a penny. A small date, double die 1960 penny is a collector's dream, and if you come across one, you could be holding a fortune in your hands. So, the next time you're sorting through your spare change, don't overlook those 1960 pennies. Pay close attention to the details, check for the small date versus large date, look for any doubling on the lettering, and inspect the overall condition of the coin. You might just be sitting on a rare and valuable treasure without even knowing it. Today, we have an exciting treasure hunt for you. It's all about the 1961 Lincoln penny, a coin that, on the surface, might seem like just another penny you'd come across in your pocket change. But hold on to your seats because there's more to this humble penny than meets the eye. In fact, this coin could be worth far more than you ever imagined. The 1961 Lincoln penny was minted during an interesting period in American history. It was the early 1960s, and the country was experiencing significant economic changes. The coin, of course, still featured the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, created by the talented Victor David Brenner. However, it was the mintage and unique characteristics of the 1961 penny that make it so desirable for collectors today. When you think about it, pennies are everywhere. They're used in day-to-day transactions, passed around in change, and often tossed aside without much thought. But what if I told you that certain versions of the 1961 penny are extremely rare and valuable? One of the key factors that make the 1961 penny stand out is the minting errors that occurred during its production. As with many coins, a small mistake in the minting process can turn a perfectly ordinary penny into a rare collector's item. And the 1961 penny has its share of errors that make it a must-have for coin enthusiasts. Let's start with the double die errors. This is one of the most fascinating types of errors you can find in a coin. A double die occurs when the coin die strikes the penny more than once, creating a slight misalignment that results in doubled features. For the 1961 penny, you might notice the date or the words like "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appear with a ghostly duplicate alongside the original strike. This error is a product of a slightly misaligned die, and while it's not incredibly common, when you do find one, it's a rare and valuable treasure. Another exciting aspect of the 1961 penny is the die clash errors. These occur when two dies, which are used to strike the design on the coin, come into contact with each other without a planchet, the blank coin, between them. This leaves imprints of the reverse design on the obverse and vice versa. If you're lucky enough to find a 1961 penny with a die clash, you've got a truly unique piece of history, and collectors would pay a premium for it. But even beyond these errors, the condition of the coin plays a massive role in its value. The 1961 penny, like many other coins from this era, was produced in large quantities and spent years in circulation. That means most of these pennies are worn and damaged from handling. However, a high-quality 1961 penny, one that has been preserved in excellent condition and shows little to no wear, can fetch a surprisingly high price. This is where the grading system comes into play. Coins that are given a higher grade by professional grading companies, like MS 65 or above, can command a premium price. A well-preserved 1961 penny in mint state is highly sought after by collectors, and the rarity of finding one in near-perfect condition makes it more valuable. So, what exactly makes this penny worth so much? The combination of minting errors, condition, and the rarity of finding a high-grade, error-free coin is what drives up the value of the 1961 Lincoln penny. And when you factor in how many people are collecting coins today, it's no surprise that a top-quality 1961 penny can fetch a significant amount of money. Now, here's the real jaw-dropping part. If you happen to have a 1961 penny with one of these rare errors or in exceptional condition, it could be worth $55,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $55,000 for a 1-cent coin. It's hard to believe, but in the world of coin collecting, these rare finds can bring in massive amounts of money. So, the next time you're sorting through your change, remember to take a closer look at those 1961 pennies. Check the date, inspect for any errors like double dies or die clashes, and pay close attention to the overall condition of the coin. You just might find yourself holding a rare and valuable piece of American history. If you enjoyed learning about the 1961 Lincoln penny and its surprising value, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more exciting coin discoveries, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future updates. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting for those hidden treasures.